Hello, I'm James Helder and welcome to another episode of Not For The News. I'm quite fortunate enough to be joined by my esteemed guest, none other than Curtis Woodhouse, aka the War Dog. How are you, mate? You all right?
All good, mate.
Good to have you with us. Also joined by Leon Knight, aka Nightlife. How are you, mate? You all right?
Nightlife? Far from it, mate. But yeah, I'm right.
Yeah, we've been watching your holiday snaps and pictures and videos. Look really good. I'm glad you had a nice time, mate.
Yeah, man.
Love that.
Decent.
Love that. Now, let's get straight into it this week. A lot of controversy in particular regarding Manchester United chief Richard Arnold being secretly filmed during a meeting. His thoughts on transfers, signings that have happened being leaked. You guys saw the video. What did you make of it? Curtis, initially, your thoughts?
I felt sorry for him, to be honest. I mean, he's been getting threats, hasn't he, from the fans that they're going to turn up at his house like they did to Ed Woodward's and all things like that. I think the fans are bang out of order. When I actually seen what he said, he didn't say anything too controversial. I think he's very, very naive to turn up in a pub with four other lads and think that no one's going to be recording it or filming it or anything. But he's probably like at home with his wife, his children, and they're threatening to come round to his house. He's probably thought, well, I need to... if they are going to come, I need to get this as far away from my house as possible. Yeah, the whole thing leaves a bit of a bad taste in my mouth. He's kind of been bullied into going to see these fans, like sort of were threatening to knock on his door where his wife and his family are. And it's out of order, really. And what he said, I thought was spot on. You know, he didn't say anything that wasn't true that people don't already know. But yeah, I kind of feel like he was pressured into it, which is wrong.
Have the fans thrown him under the bus a little bit? Is it a breach of trust, the fact that he's gone to meet them under somewhat duress, as I'm finding out now? But the fact he's gone to meet them to record him and then throw his views out there, where do you stand on that? Yeah,
no, 100%. They have thrown him under the bus. And to be fair, they've killed it, really, because now there's not going to be any dialogue between them because they can't. Man United fans have shown that they can't be trusted. I mean, listen, it's four of them. There's millions of Man United fans all over the world, so you can't tarnish them all with the same brush. But the four that have kind of, you know, strong-armed him into coming to the meeting have ruined it, really, for everybody else. Yeah, the whole thing's bad, really. It's out of order. I feel sorry for the guy.
Nighty, what are your thoughts on it, initially?
Like Curtis is saying, it's painted a whole bad, you know, everything's just flipping. This is why you don't get close to football clubs and people within football clubs. This is why people don't let them in. This is why they don't let fans in. This is why things are under, you know, strict orders where only certain people are allowed to know certain things and stuff like that. Because look at that. I mean, do you know what I mean? The geezer, he's under pressure to flip and come out and start speaking and stuff, and they're threatening him and all of that. And like Curtis is saying, he ain't come out and said anything that's scandalous that everybody can start saying, oh, well, you know, and blah, blah, blah. It's everything that everybody knew, basically, but just under like different tone and different talking and whatever. And that's just about it. Like everybody knew what he was talking about. It's not rocket science, really. Do you know what I mean? Everybody... You don't even have to be a Man United fan, but you know what's going on, really. Like, it's a bad changing room. Yeah, they need players out. Yeah, they need players in. And that's basically it, really. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and they spunk loads of money. Everybody knows that.
You get what I'm saying? It's just like, why do it? As a Man United fan, you're going to, like, do you know what I mean? Someone who works within the club and that, and you just fucking, you're doing all that. It just don't make no sense.
I found it...
They're giving it all the big, and it's just for likes, retweets, and do you know what I mean? Just social media push and just, oh, we've got this and blah, blah, blah. But you've killed it really now. Do you know what I mean? Everything's going to be under scrutiny and everything's going to be even tighter now. And, you know, that ain't going to happen again.
No, I feel sorry for the guy. You know, imagine like you because, you know, I know he's the CEO of Manchester United, but ultimately he's still doing a job. So imagine you're finishing your job and you're getting basically threats. People are going to come around to your house and do this and do that. I feel sorry for the guy, and the guy's probably out of fear thought, I need to do something here. And he's thought by going there and having a beer with them and trying to kind of get down to their level, it'd work. And I thought he actually came across really well when he was speaking. I thought he came across, I thought he came across really well. The idiots in all of it are the fans that have then, like, a Knight is spot on. They put it on social media for likes and retweets. It's shocking, really. They're just twerking for Instagram. They should be embarrassed of themselves, to be honest.
With the relationship that the Glazers have had with the fans in the past, and we've seen the animosity in the club and the protests, surely things like this can't help between the relationship between the board and the fans.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
Employees of the club and the fans.
On the flip side, though, James, like, the only down part I'd say on his behalf is he should have just grew some balls and said, well, come to my house then. Like, what you actually going to do? Like, come to the house. What are you going to do? Stand outside and start shouting and whatever? I imagine he lives in, like, you know, a decent house and it's got, you know, security and stuff and cameras and whatever and this, that and the other. I don't know that for certain, but I imagine so. He works for Man United. He's CEO of whatever. I'd have just said, come on in.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, Knight, but he's probably from a different background and a different upbringing than what we are. And he's got his family and his kids there. You know, he'd probably be petrified if they came round to his house. I can imagine him coming around to your house. I should be waiting for him with a BB gun or something. Yeah, but he's probably petrified, you know, and his wife and his family and his kids are there. You know, you get people shouting and, you know, they were letting fireworks off last time. I can imagine that for a normal Peck, for a normal guy, would be very, very intimidating for his wife and his family. Yeah, so, you know, I feel sorry for him. He got put in a really bad position. And I actually think he dealt with it really well. The only idiots, like I said, in the whole scenario are the fans, really. They made themselves look dickheads.
I mean, just call the police.
Yeah.
Simple. Just call the police.
Yeah.
Done it. Like, say, listen, I'm CEO of whatever. You call the police, say, listen, I'm CEO of this, that, and the other, and blah, blah, blah. I've got people threatening to come around my house. I need you to come around my house because last time they was doing this and doing that, and they're looking to do the same again. Done.
Yeah. 100%. The police will be there within 20 minutes.
20 minutes? You can't do anything.
Yeah.
Newspaper headlines, newspaper stories. Jack Grealish parties in Vegas. Footballer spends a lot of money. Is that really a story? Do we really need to know what a well-paid footballer does on his off-season from his job in a different continent? Knighty, where do you stand on this?
No, leave him alone. Off-season, he ain't doing anything that's in season and partying and going crazy and whatever. Leave him alone. Let him do what he wants to do within the boundaries of, you know, life, really, and within the football club with their rules. I don't know what rules Man City have got or whatever. Let him do what he has to do. Yeah, blow off a bit of steam. He's had a long, hard season. He's worked hard. He's got a nice flipping salary there. Do you know what I mean? Just leave him alone. What you know? What are you writing? Like, what are you doing? Leave him. Like, do you know what I mean? He's not killed no one. He's not raped no one. He's having a good time. He's probably gambling or whatever, having a few bevies with his mates and this, that, and the other. And you know, with all the football that goes on, Champions League, FA Cup, Carabao Cup, flipping Premier League and whatever, and this, that, and the other, you don't get time to yourself. You don't get time to enjoy anything with your mates or whatever, because you're always on the go. You're flying here, you're traveling there, you're on a coach there, you're on a train here, everywhere. So when the season's over, do you know what I mean? Even like the press to an extent should just say, you know what, just leave them. If something's out of the ordinary, yeah, then fair enough. You know what I mean? You've got something to write. But come on, man. He's on a good salary. Let him do. If he wants to blow all these wages, it's got nothing to do. You didn't help him get to that flipping pedestal. So just leave him alone.
This is what I'm going to try to say. This is what I'm getting at. Is it an intrusion on privacy when they're following the players around like this, hounding them for pictures and effectively buying stories off of people that happen to be in their company at parties and stuff?
I mean, Curtis knows as well as I do. You're a public figure. You're a football player. Everybody knows that. But do you know what I mean? Just to be, it's pointless headlines. It's just to fill papers. That's all. It ain't nothing.
It's a complete non-story, really, isn't it? When I seen like, the picture Jack Grealish, I was expecting him to be snorting coke off a stripper's tits or something like that. And then I just seen a picture of him, like, just where he looked like pissed or whatever. I was like, wow, is that it? I'd be more worried if he wasn't out letting his hair down. And I agree with Knighty. You look at Jack Grealish, and he is a little bit of a is a throwback really from times gone by, where he does like to go out after a game and have a little beer or whatever, and you see, you see the attention, the media attention, everyone trying to drag him down. It seems to me like he's a good lad. He likes a bit of fun in his life. He plays football. He plays hard. You never see Jack Grealish tossing it off on the pitch. Whether he has a bad game or not is irrelevant. You never see him not putting a shift in. He's always giving absolutely everything. He's got that arrogance when he plays, which I really like. And you can see he's like just a good kid. You can imagine bumping into him in a pub on a Sunday afternoon and him having a few beers and a bit of a laugh and a game of cards. He seems to be one of them throwback players. And you look at the treatment he gets, so it always does make me wonder like how I would get on playing football in this generation of cameras and everything everywhere. And I'm obviously nowhere near on the profile of Jack Grealish, but you look how they treat him and you think, poof, I'm glad there was like only Nokia 2210s around when I was playing. But it's a complete non-story. He's gone out and got pissed with his mates in Vegas. That's it.
Are the press responsible for sometimes certain players being disliked, certain players having a stigma and an image? If we look at the way Raheem Sterling's been portrayed in the press for a numerous number of years, are people influenced by these bad stories, by these current non-starter stories?
It's just yes. Like, do you know what I mean? People look at the papers, people read social media, and if there's bad things on it, then people are going to start asking questions. They're going to start speaking. They're going to start doing this and whatever. And the media, you won't believe how powerful the media are, mate. Honestly, you wouldn't believe how powerful they are. It's unbelievable power they've got. And they just abuse it. Do you know what I mean? It's been going on for decades, this, with footballers and going out and whatever and this, that, and the other. I mean, sometimes they're within their right because, certain players shouldn't be out or, they've caught players cheating on their wives. That's a story, like, but in Vegas, blowing a bit of cash, having a few flipping bevies with your mates and gambling and whatever. Do you know what I mean? Even he was worse on the bus when they won the league. He was battered.
You know what, as well, the mates that he was out with, they're the mates that all year round he'll have been had to say to him, I can't this weekend, lads. I've got a game Tuesday. I've got to do this. So when he's got nothing on, he's got a free calendar. That's the time he probably spends with his mates that he went to school with, that he's known for years, and he can celebrate his success with his people close around him. It's exactly the time to do it. And I think a lot of it, I've got to be honest, I think a lot of it is just pure jealousy. I actually said on my Twitter about 20 minutes ago, I think the treatment he gets off the media is pure jealousy. And some of the press might not like this, but the truth of the matter is 95% of them that are working in the press are failed footballers. They never actually made it into football. So what they do is they write about it. So, they've probably got a little bit of hidden envy that they don't even realize that they've got. And that becomes a little bit poisonous when they pick that pen up. Oh, look at Jack Grealish, £100 million wasting his talent, da-da-da-da. What they're basically saying is, God, if I'd have had that chance I wouldn't have done it that way. Well, you didn't. You weren't good enough. So just write about it and let the players play and enjoy their lives. Stop being dickheads.
And he's a girl puller. He's a good-looking lad. He's got a nice little Gucci deal there. He's got his hair swag back. He's flipped. Do you know what I mean? And all of that. And like he's saying, half of the people behind them flipping them papers, they wanted to be somebody. Might not even being a footballer, might have been a tennis player or whatever. And you know what I mean? When they get the opportunity to flipping speak about people, they do it like instead of boosting him up and saying, he's having a good time and he you know what I mean? It's off season and these are the mates that he grew up with and doing a little background story on that. Like Curtis is saying, it's just jealousy, mate. Complete jealousy, mate. And the thing about it is, it's not even hidden either. It's just flipping jealousy. Like, do you know what I mean? You look at the flipping name underneath who's written it, look him up and then go and look at him. And you see why he's writing that, mate.
And you know what as well? They never write an article where they don't reference his transfer fee or his wages. That has nothing to do with it. That just stinks of jealousy to me.
Yeah.
If I was a footballer, I think Jack Grealish has it absolutely perfect the way he's living his life. Because Yeah, do you know what? Like, me and Knighty were both professional footballers for a lot of years, and it's a great life. It's not for everybody, you know, the discipline of it all. You do need to let your hair down every now and again. And for me, Jack Grealish does it perfect. I look at Jack Grealish and think, yeah, you've got it right. You know, like I said, I've never ever seen him give less than 100% on the pitch. Whether things aren't going for him that day or not is irrelevant. He's always gives everything. He's got a nice little connection with the fans. He enjoys himself. You know, having the privilege of being a footballer and earning all that money, part of that, in my opinion, is going and bloody enjoying it as well. And I think he's got the balance really, really good. You know, if I was working with young kids, I'd be pointing them towards Jack Grealish and say, listen, look at this kid. You know, he's enjoying himself as well. And that's a big, big part of life, because football is only that much of your life. And Jack's got it right. So, yeah, big up Grealish. Keep doing what you're doing. Next party, please involve me and Knighty. We would love a piece of the action.
And the thing about it is, it's the same like with Declan Rice as well. You know, you see him out and he's on a boat and he's got his mates around him, you know, and he's having a Corona and he's, you know what I mean, singing to his tunes and this and the other. And that's what it's about, like Curtis saying, flipping out. He's 23 years old. I don't know how Grealish is. Declan Rice is 23 years old. I shouldn't imagine Grealish is much older, 25, 26, whatever it is. Yeah.
It's around that, isn't it?
And flipping hell. You put 100 grand a week. You can say to your mates, listen, we're going on a Razzler. We ain't got nothing for 15 days. We're going on a 10-day Razzler. I need 5 days to recover. Then we're back in training. But see, for now, don't even bring no clothes. This is what I'll be like. If I was on 300 grand a week and I'd be flipping 4, 5, 6 mates there, yeah, I say, listen, don't bring no clothes. Don't bring no money. Nothing. We're gone. Let's go. We're getting on a plane. We're all flipping first class. Let's roll. And that's it. And we're out. And that's it.
Yeah.
I'd say
he's 23. He's 23, right? Shouldn't he be allowed to have that break when he's off of his work, to have that time in peace without being hounded? This is the whole sort of what we're getting at with it. Are the media stopping people from living, in effect, maybe affecting their mental health where they can't relax and chill out? What's going on?
The thing about it is, Jack will know. You're a public figure. He's a £100 million kid. Yeah, he knows this. He knows that there's going to be, you know, press around, sneaking around him and whatever, flying out to wherever he's flying and whatever. He knows. He's not stupid. Do you understand what I'm saying? He will have all these advisors and whoever with him and blah, blah, blah. He knows. You're a public figure. That's not even the issue. Follow me around all you want. Take pictures all you want. But come on, don't be writing, you know, derogatory stuff and trying to flip in, demand my name and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? Don't do that. It's okay if you follow me. I know that what comes with being a professional footballer with this price tag and the player that I am and whatever, I know what comes with it. Yeah. But don't be doing that, what you're doing there, and going on like I'm doing something wrong and if he, you know, like it's good job that what Curtis is saying, that like he's kind of like a throwback, because he's probably thinking, oh, fuck it, I don't care about that anyway. Do you know what I mean? But if he was someone else with a lesser mentality and, you know, a weaker, like, you know, mindset, then you might be thinking, oh, I shouldn't be doing that and whatever. And that's, you know what I mean? The press shouldn't be doing.
I see it as a form of bullying. I really do. You know, when you're following someone around, and to be fair, Jack Grealish has been hounded by the press quite a lot lately. And when you're following people around and writing negative article after negative article on people, and they understand the power of the pen and the power of the press, it becomes a form of bullying. You know, where you're plumbing out, come on, give me a breather, let me breathe a little bit here. And like what you said, you know, there's a big thing about mental health and things like that. Who know? I don't know Jack personally. All this media attention, it probably isn't. He doesn't seem like that type of kid. But all this media attention might be getting him down and really, you might be really stressing about it. But they don't care. Like I said, it's that bully mentality. It's a jealous mentality of Jack. They look at Jack Grealish of everything that they could have been, but they weren't, and they hate it. So their way of venting their anger is by writing utter nonsense about him, and it's not on. Like you said, if he was there and he was doing anything illegal, then you're in the public eye. If you're doing something illegal, you know, and you probably deserve to get the book thrown at you. But he's not. He's having some beers with his mates at the end of a season where he's probably had more air miles than Judith Chalmers. He's been all over the bloody place.
Yeah, I agree.
He deserves a break and he deserves like a little rest. And it's just these little jealous people with their pens that are trying to drag him down.
And Jack, you know what you should do, mate? Yeah, at him in this as well when this clip goes out. Jack, what you should do, mate, is get hold of him. Say, come on, man, let's have a few drinks. Do you know what I mean? Get him bladdered. Yeah, get bladdered. Get your mates to take a few pictures of him bladdered. Yeah, drinks are on me. Come on, man, let's go. Drinks are on me, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, get him bladdered. When he puts something out about you, put something out about him. Simple.
We do not condone blackmail on this show in any way. Do not condone any.
I do. Don't tag me in that, James. I'm all over it, Knighty. I'm with you.
It's what I'm trying to say.
They're a different law to themselves, you know what I mean? Law to themselves.
Nightmare, mate. They are honestly nightmare. And they've done it. They've done it to Gaza. They've done it to everybody. Anyone that's like, you know, our country's got like, do you know what I mean? That price tag or that sort of, you know, player and all that. They always do it, mate. They always do it. People having a drink, blah, you shouldn't be doing this and blah, 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 and this, that, and the other. This is what's wrong with our country when it comes to football. You don't see any other country doing that.
You know what? Imagine following some of them lot around, you know, and taking hidden pictures of them lot and seeing what they're up to. Because don't forget, these are an industry that you know, got into people's phones. Yeah. And did things like this. Is an industry that's probably the worst industry on the planet. So imagine following some of them cockroaches about and taking pictures of them and writing stories about them. You know, if the boot is on the other foot, I'd like to see how they deal with it.
You wouldn't be allowed. If you followed someone about and just started taking pictures and documenting their life, you'd have some sort of restraining order against you.
100%.
It doesn't seem right that the journalists can legally target players. Grealish, Sterling. To a certain extent, we're now seeing Rashford, I guess, on the back of his form dropping a little bit, but nowhere near comparable levels.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Grealish, it's always good. He would have known when he got bought for 100 million quid. He'll have people around him. He seems like he's, you know, pretty grounded geezer when it comes to like family orientated and all that. I've seen a few pictures of him in his mob, whatever it is, and you know, he'll have people around him telling him, you know, there's a lot gonna come with this price tag, not only on the pitch, mate, but off the pitch as well. And he will know. Do you know what I mean? He don't look like a stupid kid either. He looks like he's got his head.
For me though, he's embracing it, and he should be applauded for it. He's embracing it. He's not hiding away. He's not shying away. He's embracing it.
Curtis, listen. You get bought for 100 million quid, and listen, you are on 350 grand or 320 grand a week, bruv. I doubt I'm making it out that season.
Knighty, listen. When I first signed my YTS for Sheffield United, I was getting paid £42.50 a week, and you couldn't keep me in.
This is what I'm trying to say this, bruv. I signed my first professional contract, bruv. And I tell you what, I lost my head for about 6 months until it got boring, because it gets boring.
Yeah.
But these don't do it often. So when they do it big. But it got boring. For 6 months, I was gone.
Yeah.
I was all over the gaff. Do you know what I mean? So I rate these guys. They got the utmost flipping dedication and discipline, mate. Utmost. And when it's time to let their hair down, they lay it down.
Now, you boys have made the journey, come through the youth teams of football, worked incredibly hard to have the success that you both had in football. We've seen quite a lot of historic paedophile charges and convictions, may I add, brought up against a lot of people in the game. Should more be done to compensate these young lads that had their dreams snatched away from them by predatory people within the football industry? Should these kids now turn adults who were robbed of that chance or had that chance affected by child abuse within our country, should more be done to compensate these individuals now as adults?
You mean financially, James?
We can't go back in time and give them their football careers back. We can't change what's happened. How other than financially do we impact these people, their well-being, their mental health, their bearing, their potential earning capacity that they lost? How do we change that?
Well, I think it's a really tough. Sorry, Knighty.
Defo. And then on top of that, you know, you got if they want to get a job somewhere along the line within football or coaching or whatever, you got to put them in there as well. Like, I don't know what else you can actually do, to be fair. You can't turn off someone's mindset and turn back the clock. You can't turn back the clock and make them go and play pro again or try and reach to certain levels. Well, the only thing you can do, really, do you know what I mean, is probably give them a job or financially and support them any way and shape or form that you can mentally. But that's about it, really. There's not really much else you can do.
I agree. I think, you know, they have had their lives ripped apart, and any chance of being a successful professional has been taken from them unfairly. The issue would probably be is compensation from who pays it, the football clubs, the PFA, the FA. I don't know where they would be. I don't know where the money had come from. Just thinking it'd be a massive legal issue if you decided to go down that route, because who would pay them? Where would it come from? The clubs?
Should the clubs, from a legal standpoint, set up some kind of trust to help these people, regardless of attaching guilt to the club? This is not what the conversation that we're having about. We're having a conversation about people taking responsibility for the past, for things that have happened to children who are now adults, who were robbed of their chance of being the next Leon Knight, the next Curtis Woodhouse, the next what have you.
Yeah, I'd definitely like to see the clubs, and I know you say not taking responsibility. I'd like to flip that on its head, and I'd like to see the clubs take responsibility. Were the clubs actually doing enough to prevent this? Because all the documents and the readings that I've read, I don't think they were. I don't think the clubs did do enough. I think it was kind of, a lot of it was maybe known about, or you hear rumours. You know, you hear when you watch the BBC documentaries, there was always rumours around Jimmy Savile, but nobody actually ever did anything about it. And it's the same with the football. There's always rumours around that Barry Bennell and all these other people, but everyone kind of brushed it under the carpet and didn't do anything about it. So I don't think the clubs have done enough. I really don't. I think the clubs have to take a big chunk of responsibility for what went on. The reason they can't do that is because financially it would ruin a lot of the clubs. So they have to say what they've said. We didn't know anything about it. We couldn't take any responsibility. Because if they do come out and say, listen, we should have done more, financially that could ruin a lot of the clubs, and that's the reason why they can't do it. But yeah, I don't think they've done anywhere near enough.
Do you think the victims of Barry Bennell and Kit Carson and that alike are a lot more than that we know about? Do you think there's been a lot more players that have been affected by this, and probably cases that haven't come to light than we're aware of in the public eye and in the press?
Yeah, 100%. Because they'll be embarrassed to come out about it. As a man, as a young boy, to come out and say I've been sexually assaulted by another man. I can imagine it being quite an embarrassing thing. So there'll be loads that haven't quite found the courage to come out and admit it. Loads, absolutely loads.
We've seen some of these players suffer to deal with the consequences of what happened to them. Consequences is the wrong word. Struggle to deal with the emotional attachment of what happened to them. They've struggled mentally, financially, and struggled to move on with their life. How does football, how does society, how does the criminal justice system, how does that get repaid to individuals?
I couldn't tell you, mate, to be honest. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't know, man. It's just a sad situation, and it's defo a load more. But like Curtis is saying, it's whether you come out, whether you've got the courage and stuff to come out. It's just, I don't even know what to say, to be honest. It's just heart-wrenching, to be honest. You know what I mean? Just like, imagine your kids in that situation as well. Like, do you know what I mean? Unbelievable. I mean, you got a little one that's just going into the academy now, just signed for Sutton there, James, and you know what I mean? Imagine like him having these, he's on a high now, and do you know what I mean? And he's just having it all ripped away from him, and it's not him. It's nothing to do with what he's doing on the pitch or even off the pitch or whatever. It's just through absolute demons.
Can you imagine the emotions that these people, parents, had to go through? And the fact that that boy wouldn't have been able to come home and speak to his dad about it, and his dad's pushing him to go to training, it's unbearable. It's unbearable, the things that these people had to go through.
But James, would you not hold the football club responsible for a big chunk of it?
100,000,000%.
Yeah,
I think if you're sending your child somewhere under the guise of training, whether it be a football or anything else, that institution or environment has to take responsibility.
100%.
It's a tricky one. It's really disgusting.
I'm the same with the boxing gym. You know, when I went to go and get my coaching badges for the boxing, we had to do like a safeguarding course and everything like that. And you're basically responsible for these kids. So, you know, it's my boxing gym, it's my name above the door. So every adult that's taking care of those kids that's in my gym, I'm responsible for. And that's a role that I take really serious. You know, if anything happens in that gym, then it's my responsibility. Yeah. So I can't just turn around and say, oh, well, I want in that day. Well, it doesn't work like that. You know, I should be in that day. Why weren't you in? You know, did you not have, is everybody in their DBS? Are you checking? You know, you've got to make sure you're doing your bit when you're working with kids and they are vulnerable and they're at an age where an adult tells them to do something, they do it and they think it's the norm. You have to take responsibility for that. So I think, again, go back to it. I think the clubs are majorly responsible for what's going
on. Are there still predatory people in football? Are there still ways of these people slipping the net and being in the game still, in your opinion?
100%.
What are your thoughts?
100%. And it's in every walk of jobs that you can ever flipping name right now. All over.
I would say more so in sport, Nighty, because I think kids in sport that get into sport a lot of time are vulnerable kids from vulnerable backgrounds, from maybe single home parents that may be looking for a father figure. You know, I'm just thinking of the two sports that I work with within boxing and football. It's a complete release once you get to those sports. It costs nothing to go to the sessions, and they can be really vulnerable kids. When you talk about in the workplace, you know, and other sports that are more affluent, really, to say it bluntly, I don't think it happens as much. But I think within certain demographics, I think young kids in sport are really vulnerable because of, like I said, they can be searching for anything, that love that they're maybe not getting at home. And I see, you know, the amount of money there is in sport these days. Parents are desperate. So, you know, and I know it sounds terrible, but sometimes the parents will do anything. You know, they're not willing to do the checks because, you know, oh, well, little Timmy, this guy's doing this, I want him to get that extra session, and they'll send them with anybody that they think they can get a leg up. You know, and I'm a parent myself, you know, and I always make sure that people are vetted 1,000,000% before I send my kids with them. But yeah, I think I really do. It's a horrible thing. It is the worst thing that can happen to a child. And I just think we need to do more as adults to really get it out of the game. Yeah. I mean, we can go back to the prison system, and I know Knighty's with me on this because I've seen him talk about it on Twitter before. There is no rehabilitation for paedophiles. There isn't any. So, you know, we can go down a rabbit hole with this one, but for me, if you're you know, prosecuted and the evidence is there, and you've sexually assaulted young boys and girls, there's only one thing that should happen to you, and that's your life should be ended by lethal injection or hanging or whatever it is. There's no rehabilitation. Once you've got that gene in you, that ain't going. You're an evil monster.
Yeah, that's it. There ain't no, oh, I can change, or, you know, I can go to this, you know, and see this one and speak to that one and whatever, this, that, and the other. And then when he's by himself or she's by herself and they get that flipping urge to do whatever they do, there is no cure for that. So it's either, instead of building these statues for flipping 100 million and putting them outside flipping buildings to say, oh yeah, this, that, and whatever, instead of buying all this and doing all that and whatever, if you don't want to bring back the lethal injection and whatever, you build a massive flipping jailhouse, yeah, and you stay in there forever. You don't come out, yeah? You stay in there forever. This is if you, me personally, I say put them down.
I say let the families make a decision on it. That's what I think. I think the families affected, it should be case by case.
Mate, they're animals and they should be put down, mate. If a dog strays and then flipping goes and eats a kid or bites a chunk out of his face or whatever, they're putting that dog down.
This is the argument that I kind of agree with as well, Knight. If a vicious animal was to attack a small child, like a fox or a dog, we would put that animal down straight away without any questions being asked.
Same thing applies, man. You go and put your hands on the kid and you shouldn't be putting your hands on the kid at all. Yeah? Put that down. End of story. No discussion. It should be not, like after you get prosecuted and all that and you get found guilty, yeah? That's it. You should know when you go through them doors down that flipping courthouse, you're going into, there ain't no, we're gonna take his life here, or he's got this so many times or whatever. As soon as you go through that door, sit you in a chair, that's it, done.
Yeah, you're done. You know what? It'd be interesting to have a national poll.
Read my mind.
Of what people actually thought about the death penalty for paedophiles and rapists and things like that. It'd be really interesting what percentage came that said, yeah, we would like the death penalty for it. Because I think the percentage would be high.
Yeah, I think they'd be massively high. I think it'd be really high.
But then listen, you see all these cases of paedophiles and rapists in high-profile jobs, you know, very high profile, and the ones in the high-profile roles are the ones that make the rules. So in a lot of the cases, it'll be like turkeys voting for Christmas.
Yep.
Interesting when you think about it like that.
Listen, you've had high profile people paying out certain stuff, money and whatever, and this, that, and the other. I ain't mentioning no names. You've had high profile people paying out millions to get off of certain cases. Yeah. So they're in no rush whatsoever to be putting in any rules to say, you know, if you get caught this, that, and the other, then listen, mate, you get pedophiles and they're getting off with 5 months. Community service,
we're effectively getting people getting longer for having a fight in the pub.
Listen,
two men have a consenting punch up in the pub. One of them gets arrested. One of them, because he lost the fight, presses charges. Bloke gets 5 years.
Yeah. Hey, you know
pedophiles what? Are getting off with minimum sentences.
Yeah,
makes you question what is going on a little bit.
Yeah, you know what? There's a paedophile in the village that I lived in about 12 months ago. He'd been in the village for about 6 months, came out of nowhere, really friendly, used to walk his dog everywhere, you know, invited people around for barbecues, this, that, and the other. And someone that went round to his house for barbecue had seen some mail on his floor, and the mail didn't match up to the name that he was calling himself. So they went home and Googled him. Convicted paedophile. Wow. And so they went round to his house the same day in my local village, and he wasn't there long. They outed him. They basically got him out of the house and said, listen, you're a dead man walking unless you leave this property. And when it was my wife that told me about it, and my daughter, who's 16, would have been 14 at the time, I can't remember the guy's name, that said, and I better not mention his name anyway, that said, oh, that's so-and-so. Said, I spoke to him. Said he always used to walk his dog around. We always used to like pet his dog, and it was a lovely dog that he had. And he always used to chat and talk to us. And you just think, wow, this was a guy that lived in my village.
Yeah. And this is the thing about this as well. These people are getting found guilty in court, and the court are actually rehousing them within.
Yeah. Oh, Nate, let me finish. No. Let me finish. So where he lived was, and I'm maybe over-editing this, was 100 yards away from my youngest son's junior school. Probably not even 100 yards, 80 yards away from a junior school. And his initial, when he got done initially, I think he got 150 hours community service. I got more for chinning somebody in town. This is what I'm getting
at. This is what I'm getting at. Right? The crimes are not reflecting the time in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
Especially,
you know what, like
vulnerable children. And why are you being relocating these people in a radius of a school? within
and
5 minutes.
And you know what? Like, there's states in America that if you get relocated or whatever, the public actually have to know.
Yes. You can do that here, though, you know, Nighty. I didn't know this until not long ago. You can do that here. So if you put your postcode in, Nighty, I can't remember what it's called. It's something to do with Sarah's Law. Remember the little girl that got...
That's right.
Yeah. So if you type in your postcode under this website, it will tell you if you have any convicted paedophiles living near you. It's an actual thing, but people don't know about it. I only found out a bit ago.
Wow. That's
a
big important tool, I guess. If you're raising 100%. A family, you want to know sort of living around you within reason.
100%. And you know what? Like I said, my daughter, when seeing this guy walking around the village, he always used to take his dog. You know, you think about it now, that dog was like a little pack of sweets for him.
Yep.
You know, and if my daughter had been in that village walking through on her own and he'd have been walking with his dog, 100% she'd have gone up and, I stroked the dog. And that's his fucking way in. It's horrible, scary.
It's scary when you think about it.
It's horrendous.
Yeah, it is worrying. It's more relevant and prevalent when you see the stories on the news. Why we're speaking about it today is because obviously the historical factor and the people being sentenced and stuff. Don't want to mention too many names, but I'm guessing it is still very, very much a huge concern for a lot of parents.
Yeah,
a lot of parents.
And you know what about obviously you've been on the sex register list, and that's great, and that's a big step forward. But that's only for people that have actually been convicted.
Exactly.
There's loads of people out there that haven't been convicted.
So if someone, for instance, got community service or lesser than a jail time, they wouldn't be on that register.
No, I think they'd still be on the list. I think that'd be part of it. But I'm on about people that have done it, been grooming and assaulting people, but have never actually been charged for anything. They're just a danger. How do you stop them worming their way into football clubs and saying, we've got a game next Saturday away in Torquay. Little John and his mates might as well come and stay at mine. We can all travel in the morning. And then it's got, you see it happen all the time, mate. And then
I think it comes from awareness. We need to, not just us, we need to, as a society, be more aware of what's the word I'm looking for? The telltale signs of early warning signs of interactions with these type of people. Yeah. It's horrible to think like that. It is horrible to go around thinking and worrying, but
there's courses out there, mate. Like I said, when I moved into coaching with kids, the safeguarding courses that I did, James, well, honestly, I left there thinking, wow, I'm not doing enough here. There's a real eye opener for me. So these courses you can go on that tells you different avenues to go down if you've got any reservations about people and this, that, and the other. There really is. And one guy that helped do the course with me was a guy called John Dennis, who's one of the coaches. And he said something to me that I've put into coaching with everything I do now. And he said to me, every decision you always make, you always have to say, would it be all right for one of my kids? Because if it's not all right for one of your kids, it shouldn't be right for anybody else's either. And that's something that's really stuck in my mind. And that every decision that I think when I'm working with kids is, would I let my son do this? Would I let my daughter do this? If the answer is no, then I'm not letting someone else's kid do it either.
Probably my biggest fear with having kids that just, my little girls just started dance and all of that now. And I just think, when you got to just leave them and close the door and just thinking to myself, oh my God.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's a worry. No, it is a worry.
Big worry, man. It's a massive worry. And also the worry is if it does happen to yours, what your reaction is going to be as well. Do you know what I mean? Because my reaction won't be good.
No. Yeah. I'm the same. I'm doing right.
And then your whole family's in disarray. You're probably looking at flipping sentence. Your daughter or son's been flipping molested or whatever. And
without question.
Do you know what I mean? It's just a big, massive flipping worry, mate, when you have kids. But what can you do? You've got to give them a bit of a leeway to have a little bit of life to grow and find themselves and whatever. And then you got to actually flip and say, certain things. It's a nightmare, mate, honestly. But it's the best gift and the worst gift in the world, mate. Trust me.
Yeah. Your kids, you're always petrified when your kids leave the house. It's horrible. Like my eldest now, I don't know where he is. He's probably still in bed. Is he in bed? No, he's actually on the sofa here. So he's 19 now, and he's out every night, gets in at like 6 a.m. And like me and his mum can't sleep until he comes in. Yeah. And he don't, they're young, so you got to let them go and do whatever they want. But it is, you never stop worrying about him. My daughter's 16, you know, you just worry constantly. My youngest boy's 10. I don't have a single worry in the world about him because he's a straight up G. He'll handle anything, will Caleb. But yeah, you never stop worrying about him, do you?
No, it's just constant, mate.
It's a worry. All right, lads. I've got to say thank you very much for your time today.
We got deep there, didn't we?
Yeah, I like discussing things that normal shows aren't going to discuss.
That was deep.
They're the things that we're here to chat about. So I really thank you both for being so honest. Excuse me. And I look forward to catching you on Friday for the special transfer episode of Not For The News.